name is Jasun, and it's on my name tag. You see it. All right. So my personal issue is why high school is kind of terrible. And just some other kids. I'm pretty sure some of you guys will agree with me. But all right. So basically, the whole concept of why it's bad for me, anyways, is because I really don't get much out of it. I don't really learn anything there, and here's one of the reasons. I mean, one of the reasons is because we have to get up super early in the morning. I mean, I need to get up around like 5:45, 6 o'clock just to get to school at like 7 because it starts at 7:10, and my first class is math. Go figure. So I'm tired. And I don't
pushing all the buttons here, isn't it?
And I don't get anything out of that. And then that brings up another thing too. The classes are really long. Like they're like 99-minute long classes.
Yeah, block schedule.
Yeah. Yep. Block schedule, and they're really, really long. And our lunches are only 30 minutes, so it's like we really don't have much of a break in between. So that just makes it really, really hard to just really kind of go back to another class when we don't have much break. But what I hope that we can do to solve this is I hope we can make schools maybe start at 9 o'clock instead of like 7 or 10 or something like that, or 7:10, because it's like that way more kids will pay attention in school, and it'll just make things easier. And also to have hour lunches, because it gives you more of a dessert break. And also to have, my final thing is to have like 45, 50-minute classes instead of 99-minute classes, because that way it'll be easier to retain things we just learned. And plus I don't think we lose focus as easily as well. Yeah, that's the
Great ideas. Great ideas.
Yeah.
Let's run a bill.
Mr. Chair, may I have a question for the witness?
Yes, please.
So, Jason, thank you first of all for...
Jason.
How do you say it?
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your testimony and for taking the time out to be here. And I think I understand the problem that you are articulating. Why do you think that, and you've offered a solution, and that is to your credit, because oftentimes when people come to us, whether it's here or perhaps in the community, it's a lot easier to complain about things. It's a lot harder to try to offer some solutions. So I commend you for that. My question is, since in Colorado, we are a, quote, local controlled state when it comes to public education, why do you think the state has a role in determining when the school day should begin?
Why do I think the state has a role in that?
Yeah, because typically those decisions are made at the local level.
Oh, I don't know.
And that's okay, but that's an example of a question that you might get, because there is actually research, I think, that shows that if we did start later in the day, that might help, especially younger people, to be more attentive and to be more successful. And I think we have started early in the day. I think that from back in the old days when a lot more young people lived in rural areas or lived on the farms, and this way you can get done with school, so you can get done early enough before the sun goes down, so you go milk the cows or do whatever it is that folks do on farms. But of course that's changed a great deal. So you bring a good issue to us, to our attention, and for that we thank you. But I think we need to think through it a little bit more. He's already ready to write a bill. I think we need to think through it a little bit more. That's why they mess up in the House more than in the Senate.
So you pressed all the buttons. I leaned over to Senator Cafalas and said that, yeah, I think what you don't know about me is I taught junior high math, science and technology. And Senator Cafalas taught, but I taught for almost 25 years. And the single most often asked question in my class, students would raise their hand and say, Mr. Young, what do you think they asked in my math classes?
Why do we have to be here so early?
No, no. And I sympathize with you early.
I think I know.
When
Why?
are we ever
why-
gonna
why-
use
why-
this again?
I was just going to say that.
Clearly, we teach math really completely
Yeah.
the wrong way.
That's
We don't really show why anything is of value. We just keep saying, all right, we're doing factoring today, and open up your books to section 3.1 and do the 30 problems there at the end of the section, and when are we ever going to use
I
this,
know,
Mr. Young? And,
like-
we've gotten a little trapped in standardized testing, and I'm not an opponent of standardized testing. I think that there's some value you get out of that, but I think that we're being driven a little bit too much by test scores and not enough about good instruction in the classroom or what really makes a difference. And I will tell you that I am a proponent of the block system, but it's what you do with your time, not how much time you have. So if you actually went into class and in your math class you were doing some real hands-on things that really showed you what value you get out of math, and that activity actually takes an hour or an hour and a half to get done, you wouldn't even know the time went by, because this work that you were doing is so engaging and so powerful, and you were like, I get it, I see why I need to learn the math, because we're having to get this stuff done. It's really important to me to get it done. We need more time, give us more time. You'd be asking for 2 hours instead of an hour, right?
But I do know that is true, because I mean, right now all they do is all like, okay, class, we're gonna do this.
It's all about the teacher, isn't it?
know.
The teacher's up there doing it all,
I know,
right?
yeah.
No, it's all about you.
The whole time I'm just hearing, you know, blah, 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 excellent.
And if I can make the transition into that, I mean, that's the problem we have in schools right now, is it really is about the schools and the teachers and the principals and the school boards and everybody else. We kind of forget about the students in the whole equation, I think. That's a math statement, by the way. And then, you know, the transition of that is, in the disabilities community, we do the same thing, right? We forget it's about the people, right? And so, you know, we have all this conversation about being person-centered or student-centered, but what does that really mean? We talk about it, but what do we really do to make that happen? So, I'm on board with you. I'm ready to run the bill. I don't care what he says. Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just doing this is typically how we do it in a committee hearing. So we have folks sit up there, and someone is the chair and the vice chair, and we follow Robert's Rules of Order by and large, and that's important. But thank you for recognizing me. And in closing, I just wish to make a comment to this young person who
Please
testified.
proceed.
And that is, one thing I'd also like you to think about is, when you have identified a problem, you want to make sure you've identified what is the role of government and what level of government. So for example, a lot of times we get contacted about stuff that's happening at the national level, because we get confused with United States senators or United States Congress people. And so my take home is that you want to be clear on what the problem is, what is the role of government, and what is your target. So in this case, I would respectfully suggest that doing this presentation in front of your local school board perhaps would have even more impact, and then based on their feedback, that might inform what might be the proper role for state legislation, that sort of thing. Does that make sense a little bit?
I think so.
You want to target your audience based on what you're trying to accomplish. You don't want to contact a congressman to see about figuring out whether or not school should start 45 minutes later.
Well, and just to springboard on that, I will say that we just had a bill about giving students a civics test.
What?
A civics test,
What's
a test
that?
over government. You know, we have a paper pencil test about government, right? But what's a better plan to teach people how you actually do civics? And that would be for you to take this idea to your local school board and get on their agenda and say, you know what, here's my fellow 250 classmates here from school that all think that it would be a lot more effective if we started at 9 o'clock instead of 7. And what can you do? What policy changes can you make as a school board? You learn a lot about civics, and if they actually pass that, to me, I'd give you an A in the civics class and on a test because you actually got something done.
Oh.
And I think that's performance. I want to see that you can actually do things. And so I think Senator Kapoulis is right. I think that at least for part of this, that is a school board thing, not a state thing. And so, but I'll be anxious to see if you actually do that. I encourage you to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully they listen to me. I mean, that
We
would suck.
listen.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure they're gonna be all like, "Oh, be your kid."
No,
does something."
Joseph, another thing to learn is if they're not listening to you, then you should contact us, and we'll make sure they listen to you. A lot of times we can help.
Or, you know, every so often there's a thing that happens in November. If your elected officials aren't listening to you, you can campaign for somebody else would listen to you and vote them in as your school board member or whatever level there is. So, I mean, that's what elections are all about. And whether you're eligible to vote or not doesn't prohibit you from helping helping a candidate you think is the better candidate.
Oh, it doesn't?
Absolutely not. You can go out and campaign for somebody. There's no age limit on that. Did you know?
I do.
Yeah. You have to wait to vote, but you can help out candidates at any age. All right, Mike.
Yeah,
And is this that one issue we talked?